Good morning, guys. Uh, Welcome to the second lecture of Indian Polity by M. Lakshmakan. Today, the topic will be making of the Constitution. So, before we start this lecture, I would like to give a brief timeline of the Indian Constitution in the making of the Constitution from the year 1922 till the 1950. So, in 1922, Mahatma Gandhi demanded for a new Constitution of India. In 1928, Jawaharlal Nehru submitted a report on the for the Constitution of India. In 1934, M.N. Roy demanded for the Constituent Assembly, and the Shimla Conference was held in 1945, and the Cabinet Mission Plan was sent in 1946. So, and in 1947, the Constituent Assembly formation and first meeting took place, and in 1947 Lord Mountbatten replaced Lord Wavell as the Viceroy of India. So Lord Mountbatten, as we know, is the Viceroy of independent India, so keep in mind. So in 1932, Mahatma Gandhi put forward that India's political destiny should be determined by the Indian themselves. He emphasizes on the fact that Indians should be allowed to make their own decisions regarding the political structure of India. So, in May 17, 1927, at Bombay session, Motilal Nehru, who is the father of Jawaharlal Nehru, moved a resolution calling up on the Congress Working Committee to frame a constitution of India. In May 1928, all party conference, a committee was set up under the chairmanship of Motilal Nehru to determine the principles of the Constitution of India. So a Nehru's report was keep in mind that this is Motilal Nehru, not Jawaharlal Nehru. That a report was submitted on August 10, 1928. So the the demand for a constituent assembly was for the first time and authoritatively considered by the British government on the year 1940 through the August offer. In 1942, this is a very important topic. Cripps mission, Sir Stanford Cripps, who was the cabinet minister, came to India with a proposal of framing of independent constitution of India to be adopted after World War II, provided that the two major political parties, the Indian National Congress and the Muslim League, came forward with an agreement. So this the Muslim League rejected this same on the demand that India be divided into two autonomous states on communal lines by two separate constituent assemblies. This led to the Quit India movement in 1942, which was initiated by against the separation of the Constituent Assembly. So in 1946, the Cabinet Mission Plan, Lord Benedict Lawrence, Sir Strafford Cripps, and A.V. Alexander was sent on March 24, 1946 to India with a proposal of Constituent Assembly. So the Constituent Assembly was constituted on November 4, 1946 with 389 members, that is 296 Indian states and 93 from the princely states. So and the The first meeting of the Constituent Assembly took place on December 9, 1946. The Muslim League boycotted the meeting and insisted on separate state Pakistan. Remember this, Dr. Sachidanand Sinha was the interim president of the Constituent Assembly, not B.R. Ambedkar. He was Dr. Sachidanand Sinha. In December 1946, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president. It was Dr. Rajendra Prasad who was elected as the president of the Constituent Assembly. So, the preamble was the modified version of the objective resolutions. Lord Mountbatten was sent to India as the Governor General, replacing Lord Wavell. Lord Mountbatten came out with a plan. This plan was given a formal shape by statement made by the British government on June 3, 1947. This was known as the Mountbatten Plan or the June 3 Plan. So, on July 26, 1947, Lord Mountbatten announced the establishment of a separate Constituent Assembly for Pakistan, and hence through this he appointed Muhammad Ali Jinnah as the Governor General of Pakistan. The Indian Independence Bill was introduced in British Parliament in July 4, 1947. The Indian Independence Act came into force in July 18, 1947, and hence India was given provided independence from August 15, 1947. So these are the important portions, and some important dates are given as the Constituent Assembly adopted the national flag on July 22, 1947, the Constitution on November 26, 1949, the national anthem, that is Jana Kana Mana, on January 24, 1950, and the national song on January 24, 1950. So according to this, Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the first president of India on January 24, 1950, and on January 24, 1950 was the last session of the Constituent Assembly. So keep in mind that there are 22 committees constituted in the Constituent Assembly, and the Committee on Constituent Assembly Union Constitution Chairman was Jawaharlal Nehru. Provincial Constitution Committee was chaired by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Committee of Fundamental Rights was and Minority Heads was headed by Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and the draft was prepared by B.N. Rao, that is advisor to the Constituent Assembly. The drafting committee was set up in August 9, 1947. The chairman of the drafting committee was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and the final reading was introduced by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar on November 4th, 1948. So here it says that Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the father of the Indian Constitution of India, was the first law minister of India from August 15, 1947 to January 26, 1950. The Constitution thus came into force on January 26, 1950. Hence, this day is known as the Republic Day, and it took nearly 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days for the Constitution to get completed. So, the Indian Constitution is not a whole constitution. It is a borrowed constitution that has borrowed elements from the different constitution of the countries. For example, the US Constitution. The Constitution of India adopted the US Constitution's elements of judicial review, fundamental rights, independent judiciary, impeachment procedure of the president, the vice president acting as the chairman of the upper house, and the removal of the Supreme Court and the High Court. The judicial review is that the judiciary is independent from the other legislative and executive organs of the government, and the fundamental rights are the rights which infringe upon can be subjugated to judicial review. And the independent judiciary was that the judiciary will be independent from the other legislative and executive, and the impeachment procedure of the president in case of removal of the president, and the vice president acting as the chairman of the upper house. Upper house is the Rajya Sabha, and the removal of the Supreme Court and the High Court judges. And the Indian Constitution also borrowed the elements of rule of law, that is, everyone is equal before law, and parliamentary form of government, that is, the government is elected by the people, and single citizenship, cabinet system, legislative procedure, and bicameralism. Bicameralism means there are two types of there are two houses in the parliament, that is, for the central there is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, and in the state the legislative assembly and the legislative council. From the Irish constitution, we have adopted the DPSP, or the Directive Principles of State Policy. That is, Directive Principles of State Policy will be studying in the coming lectures. Nomination of members to the upper house. The upper house is the Rajya Sabha. The election method of the president, that is the partial representation method of the president. The Canadian Constitution, we have borrowed the elements of residual powers in the centers. The federation with a strong center, appointment of state governors by central government, and the advisory jurisdictions of the Supreme Court. From the South African Constitution, we have borrow the amendment procedure of the constitution, that is, the constitution can be amended. That the constitution is not a perfect, it's not a perfect thing. It requires changes for time and time, and it needs to be amended for the better functioning of this rule. And the method of election of the members to the upper house, that is the Rajya Sabha. From the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, that is the USSR, we have adopted the fundamental duties. The fundamental duties was included during the 42nd amendment of the constitution by the Indira Gandhi government. The Indira Gandhi government, the 42nd amendment is also known as a mini constitution, and the ideals of justice, that is social, economic and political. From the France, we have adopted the republic principle, the ideas of liberty, equality and fraternity in the preamble, that is from the French Revolution. From the German constitution, we have adopted the suspension of fundamental rights during emergency. Suppose in case of national emergencies, there are three types of emergency: national emergency, state emergency and financial emergency, which are given in Article 352, 356 and 360. And the Australian constitution, we have included the congruent list. The congruent lists are those lists which are not included in the state and the union list, and the joint sitting of the two houses of the parliament. So the joint sitting of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha are adopted from the Australian constitutions. So with this lecture, we come to an end of the topic. So I hope you understood some portions, and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.